I would like to build a house made out of stars. Hear me out, okay? I'll show you what I mean. I've got a bit of a vision in mind here. So let's begin. I jumped in with particle manipulation first of all, and I tested so many particles, and unfortunately this image right here is all you're going to get out of it, because as soon as you leave the render distance of the particles, they completely vanish and they don't come back. I expected that I would be able to place these all in the world and then come back in and show you guys what I had been working on, but they were gone because I had flew too far away. And so they are now gone forever, immortalized only here. So I left them behind and I started working on building a gigantic black box. And the bugginess did continue. I got to a point where I was no longer able to place blocks higher up on top of this box. I couldn't figure out why. I tried relogging. I just started working on other elements of it, like the floor and the ceiling in the meantime. And then I eventually worked up the courage to go back and work on it again. Still, no more blocks placed. And when I finally went in with an extrude tool to try to add more, the game crashed. And it crashed again, and again, and again. When I tell you that this world crashed many dozens of times over in my attempt to just build a large black box, I am not joking. It happened so many times. And now that world is completely inaccessible. It will not load. If I attempt to load the world, the entire game crashes. It's gone forever. So I realized that I needed to do some things differently. I decided not only to forego the particles and work instead with the model spawner, I also decided that I would make some thin, more manageable walls. More manageable is a loose term here because they still look like an absolute mess, but they are not the focus of the build and they are not seen in the finished product. All you see is a black backdrop, and that's really all I needed. So I went in with a much more controlled, careful approach, using these line tools in order to give myself an outline to build off of. From there, I built up thinner walls with thinner brushes. I did not use the extrude tool, as that is what had crashed my world so many times over the first time. Now, all I really needed was just a large black box here. Right now I've got Fulbright on so I can see all of the interior and this little outline of a house that I made. I want a house that's made out of stars that looks like it's kind of being blown away in the wind. I know that doesn't make sense in any amount of physics, but I wanted that. Now the house did change a lot over the course of this as I realized the shape really didn't work perfectly for what I was trying to do. But what I did try was the suggestions that you all left me in the comments last time, which is the Machinima tool camera position. Also encountered a little bit of bugginess here, although I don't know how much of it is my own user error, because when I was trying to shift camera perspectives, a lot of the time, it ended up just looking like this, which is not what I wanted at all. However, I did find that the F4 key actually did work with this pretty well. It wasn't as fluid as I wanted, really, but it did work. Now that I have the outline of the house, I want to go in and add all of these colored lights. This is meant to be what really brings all of this together. In lieu of the colored particle effects, I'm using all of these different crystals and plants and even a few small mob models that I spawned in that also emit light. And then eventually I decided I would go back and try the particles again. I did a lot of work with these. Now, they're difficult because not only do they disappear if you leave their render distance, you also can't seem to control exactly where they spawn. It's not super consistent, and I cannot figure out how to move them once they're in the world. I tried making my own versions of these assets by unzipping the files in the game folder and trying to edit them myself using the in-game asset editor and following the tutorial video that was posted on the Hytale channel. But even with all of that, I really could not manage to manipulate these myself the way that I wanted to. So I once again gave up on the particles and I went back to placing light after light after light. And I ran into more bugs because there seems to be a limit to how many light sources the game is able to render at this point in time, which means that the more that I added, the more disappeared. But I was absolutely determined to make this vision come to life and work. And so I tried again and again and again, adding more and more blocks and adjusting the shape and perspective as I went, although it became increasingly difficult, even with F4 and the machinima tool function, to actually see consistently what I was building and get consistent feedback with the way that I was having to move these around on somewhat of a diagonal to bring them closer and closer to the camera position, since they kept disappearing from being too far away or being overloaded with too many light sources. After a bit of this, I did give in and bring in a friend. Actually, this is not a friend. This is my alt account, Breadcrumbs, and he's here to be my camera. These mushrooms I just set up around him to see if I enjoyed having particle effects next to the camera. I didn't like them, so I just moved them around. I don't know why I didn't delete them. I guess I kind of liked the vibe. But with him, I was able to get shots like these, which was incredibly helpful for building. I did eventually decide that it looked a little too much like a circus, and I changed it from there, which I would never have been able to do without our dear little breadcrumbs. Now this is the finished product. It seems like there is a cap for how much light the game can render. I tried to mess around with settings and I could not get that to change. So back here, these lights that originally made up the house, they do not show up in the finished product. They don't render, and it's not because they're even too far away right now, it's because the game seems to be overloaded with light sources. So we're going to say goodbye to Breadcrumbs here so I can place myself in his position here and get a good view at what this looks like all lined up. There is genuinely a lot about this build that I immediately want to change. There's a lot that I immediately would do differently. It was a big learning experience for me, but I am really satisfied with the colors, and I think that with a sort of blur effect, this will look really, really incredible. I'm really bummed that the particles didn't work for this, and I'm hoping that those tools improve, because imagine this literally made out of glowing light from the particle effects. That's what I had originally envisioned, and I think that it would look just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Even so, I'm really happy with this. Really happy with this build. It was quite a process to put together. I learned a great deal. That whole process, however, of every time I'm adding more lights, ones that I've previously placed begin winking out in the background, like whole sections would disappear at a time. Like a whole eave of the roof, a whole side of a window, a whole part of the floor down here would just vanish. And then I'd have to do it all again, but closer. I think that these tools have an incredible amount of potential. I think that the rendering needs just a little bit of work, and I think that the fine control over things like particle effects and editing them need a little bit of work in terms of workflow. And also, maybe some more guides would really, really help, so that people can understand those tools a little easier. People in this case meaning me. Please help me. Help me. Anyways, it's so dark. Let me get a light source. Hang on. A better light source. There we go. Now, my DMs are currently open for commissions. If you have a build project, reach out to me on Twitter, Discord. There are links here in my channel to find those spaces. They are open and available to you if you have anything that you would like to offer. I'm also very excited to dive into more build projects here. I would really like to try some more Lord of the Rings projects, maybe some things from Westeros. We'll see what we get into. You guys left a ton of incredible suggestions on the last video. Thank you again so much for watching, and remember, there's also a VOD channel if you're interested in Hytale lore and seeing some more uncut gameplay. And if you didn't know, you can use creator code Breadly at checkout when purchasing or upgrading the game. It really does help the channel out. What else helps the channel is giving a little share and a like and a subscribe and maybe a little comment for the algorithm and everything. It really goes a long way. Thank you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.